So if you're watching this, you're probably a newcomer to Canada. You just either landed or you're planning ahead and you want to know the type of things people have done that are not great for their new journey. Congratulations on actually clicking on this video, because it's a big step. It's a big step, but I'm congratulating you because you're planning ahead. You're doing what most people don't do. So I'm here to help you. We're going to talk about like mistakes typical newcomers and new immigrants make and how to avoid them. So you're in the right spot. Again, congrats. Hello beautiful people, and welcome to my channel. My name is Janie, aka Janie of Canada, and on this channel we'll talk about everything life as a professional immigrant. Studying, working, living, thriving, running a business. This is where it's at. So if you're new, where have you been? And if you're returned and subscribing, thank you, I've missed you. If you're new, please join the family. There's a lot of energy over here, but also resources and tips. Subscribe right now. Thank you. Now let's get straight into it. I've lived in Canada for 5+ years. I'm literally in the business of career coaching newcomers and immigrants, and I've heard it all, seen it all. Maybe not all, because there's always space for learning, but I've heard a lot, seen a lot, and I always am interested in newcomer careers and future. Here are 10 major things that I see a lot of newcomers and immigrants making that may be really devastating, but they haven't put too much thought to it. So if you're a student or you're coming as an PR, you might also want to grab a pen and paper, because there's a lot to be learned from this video. Okay, let's do it. The first mistake I've seen a lot of newcomers make is not researching enough. I can't tell you how many people say, "Hey Janie, how do I come to Canada?" Literally that question. When there are YouTubers like myself and a bunch of others that are giving information for free. There is content on blogs for free on how to come to Canada. You can start by my express entry video here, or how to study. This will give you enough information to actually take the leap. Some people just want someone to do it all for themselves, and that's how you can get scammed. I've talked about telltale signs and how you can get scammed as well. Things like where to stay. There's options on because sometimes some people also will get so blinded by the journey just in front of them, like getting a study permit, that they don't even start thinking about where to stay, what type of job opportunities are available for that thing you want to study. For instance, you want to just do biomedical research. Is there a career for that in Canada? What does that look like, right? Before you say, oh, because my background was in this, I have to do this for a master's. You have to consider those things. People also don't research finances and the whole gamut about credit. We'll talk about that in another point. So not researching enough is one big mistake. And because of that, I said that number 2 thing would be researching too much. I know you're like, what is the balance, right? The truth is there's something called information overload / analysis paralysis. Some people are stuck watching videos and listening to commentary, following Instagram folks who talk about this stuff, and actually not taking the step. It's okay to take one step, make a mistake, learn from it, and it'll help you in your next step, but just sitting in a pile of information doesn't help. So what I usually tell people is create a timeline for yourself. If you're trying to get into school next year, September, depending on when you're watching this video, you give yourself like 6-9 months, depending on what country you are, and say, by this date I should have done this. If not, I'm already behind schedule. That will save you from analysis paralysis. Number 3, not having a clear career path. Truth is, you always have to start with what is it you want to do. For me, going to school has always helped me clarify that. People would sometimes see my background as being all over the place, but one thing I always wanted to do was do something I'm quite passionate or my energy vibrates with. So it happens by, those kind of conversations or that clarity doesn't come by just sitting with yourself and your degrees. It comes by having a lot of conversations, doing assessments of yourself, taking personality tests, asking people around you who know you the best, like what type of careers they see you in. Because what tends to happen is if you don't have that, you're usually just going with the flow, being swayed by anything. And sometimes people are now stuck in what do we call this, immigrant jobs, where it's just like first grunt work, like immigrant jobs that you just do to have cash on the side, but people are stuck in that for years, forgetting the experience, skill sets, and the confidence that they truly have, right? Another thing I've noticed with the people who come, because sometimes if you think about it, you need to have proof of funds and a lot of money to come to Canada a lot of times, right? So you have to have at least 12K if you're coming single with express entry, or if you're coming as a student, there's a lot of money there, but you come in and you start to buy expensive things. And because sometimes you don't know that it's expensive, because a lot of times you're still there calculating and converting it to your home currency, so you might not know. And that's always good to ask questions. I personally, when I moved to Canada, my brother is really bougie. You guys will get to meet him one day. He was having me buy things that cost $1,000, and I remember being like, whoa, this is a lot, right? And to him that's normal. But you should always look out for things like thrift stores, Value Village, Kijiji, Facebook Marketplace. A lot of things that are secondhand or pre-used are still very good quality. You don't always have to buy things new and expensive. Things like jackets, boots, you don't have to buy that new immediately you just come. Things like cars and phones as well, like you don't have to buy a new car. Like there's none of that stuff, right? People are also going, when it comes to buying expensive things, yes, it might be things, but also rent. Some people want to live a bougie life and live in a condo that has a levitating escalator. I don't know, but you might not need all of that as you're just coming to Canada. You want to live within your means, because the truth is, when you're coming new, you don't know for sure when you're going to get that dream job. You don't know for sure when your career is going to get back on path, right? So you don't want to be liquidating. You don't want to be burning out your reserve when you're not having income. It doesn't even make sense. You don't even need to, like, I honestly think in your first couple of months, depending again on how old you are and how much resources you have, especially if you're coming to a city where there is a transport system, you might not need a car immediately, right? And if you might actually want to try car sharing services like obviously Enterprise Rent-A-Car and what's the other one that's green? I'll put it right here. Hey, but if you're really rolling in money, I'm not going to tell you what to do with your cash, but it's always something to look out for to see how you can actually manage the money you have. Another thing, speaking of mistakes people make, is comparing yourself to other immigrant journeys. It's honestly, sometimes it happens, we're human at the end of the day, but you don't want to do that. And it happens both ways. So the first way is like, oh, looking at people who are living large and you're just like, oh, didn't we come at the same time? What's going on with me? It can be even with people's careers. You're like, oh, how did they get a job and I'm still here? Like, it's not easy, but it's honestly, no one story is the same. I got my PR in 6 weeks. Most people get theirs in 6 months, right? So I don't know what I did there. You know, I know somebody, I don't know, I'm just joking. But you don't want to compare yourself to anybody, right? For all you know, they might be buying all those things you're stunting with on credit, racking up bills, getting in debt, and you're here envying them. Ha! You'll be surprised, right? Another thing too is, speaking of finances, I mentioned this too, is using credit wrong. Because a lot of us were introduced to the idea of credit once we moved to Canada, there was not that actual thought on how to use credit. I have a whole video on this topic here, and that you should check out on how to actually use credit the right way. Like things like you shouldn't just be paying the minimum balance every month. That's a lie. Pay the full thing. Use credit like it's your money. So when it's use credit like it's your money, in the sense of, if you don't have your money, you wouldn't spend what you don't have. So the way you can do that is making sure you're only spending what you actually have, and you're literally just using credit to build your credit score, and you're not just borrowing money, because that is crazy. Another big no-no with credit is like withdrawing cash from it. Like, don't ever do that. Again, there's a video on that. I don't want to go too much into it on this video. Another mistakes I've seen newcomers make is settling for less. And that is another part too of like comparing yourself to other people. And like, in that same way, you can compare yourself to other people by like looking at the great stuff they're doing. But sometimes you're comparing yourself to people who are not doing great stuff and who have told you things like, when you come to Canada, you must work in factory, you must work in the grocery store, you must do this to get this. That's always not true. I told myself, because I have flat feet and I cannot stand for days, that I wasn't going to work in a grocery store, but I picked up on something else, like doing hair, making body butters and things like that, right? So there is no one way to succeed in Canada, so you don't have to listen to just one person. And also, from a point of don't settle for less, it is have a timeline for yourself. If you're saying that you're going to do grocery store job, that is totally fine. But if you're an accountant, you want to get back into the field. So if you're going to do grocery store job for 2-3 months, 6 months, whatever your timeline is, make sure that you are not just going day by day, because time flies. In Canada, there's not a big social scene. You go to work, you come back, you sleep, you eat, you stand up again the next day, go to work, come back. Before you know it, a year has passed by. You're not in the career of your choice. You're just doing work to make money and pay bills, and your confidence is completely eroded, that you feel like if you get a call about an accounting job, you can't even tell them the last thing you did. So that is the problem with settling for less, having the wrong conversations with the wrong people. So make sure that whoever you're listening to has a life and the path that you admire. For the way I look at it is, I can't be taking advice from somebody who I don't look up to. And that doesn't have to do with like money or wealth, but it's like, what is the characteristic or a value that that person has that you admire? Then you know where to actually, like, if their advice holds water in your life. Another mistakes I've seen being a newcomer is not being DIY enough. Like, I get that in certain cultures where we come from is you just want to like waste money. Okay, I'm joking, not necessarily waste money, but you have people who do different services for you, so you might not have gotten very good with your hand. I had my friend Vaymak will tell you that she became a carpenter when she moved to Canada. Like, honestly, Google that ish. You can fix furniture. IKEA will teach you that. You can fix electrical appliances. You can do your own oil change, things like that will save you money, because everything costs money. There's no handouts. With that, to the next point is there's no handouts and no expectations. I have a lot of people who have that expectation that because I give content for free, you can access me anytime I ask for information. It's almost impossible in Canada because I work a full-time job. I still do this on the side. There's no time, right? Like, I have a business on the side to actually attend to everybody. So sometimes we come with that entitlement mentality as newcomers, that because somebody else is a newcomer or they're from the same village as you or they have the same story, they should help you. But you can't. You have, honestly, nobody owes you nothing in Canada. There's not that value system of, oh, we're a village or anything like that. So if you come with that expectation that people are going to help you and they must help you, you will be disappointed very early, and that can actually ruin your chances at getting stuff for yourself. It's great, people will help you, don't get me wrong, but don't come with that expectation. The way I look at it is I count my no's, in the sense of it's a game for me to hear plenty no's, so that when I hear yes, it's like a big victory. That's another mistake that newcomers make. The final mistake that newcomers make is not enjoying yourself. I'm an enjoyment commissioner, like energy goddess. Like, if there's a party on the beach, yeah, link me, bruv. That's usually me, because the truth is, Nigerians will say, problem no they finish. Try to enjoy yourself. That just means that trouble and challenges are always going to be there. You need to make time out for yourself. I get in your first couple years you're trying to settle, especially if you have kids and all of that, but do fun stuff, especially during summer, because winter blues is a real thing. You might get like low in energy, some people depressed around winter. So when the sun is out, go out to a cottage, organize a road trip. There's so many beautiful things to see that you don't want to miss out on. One thing I regret when I was doing my master's in a small town called Kingston is always thinking, oh, Thousand Islands is always going to be there as long as I'm here and I'm going to see it. I never got to see it, so seize the day. Carpe diem, I think that's the saying. Anyways, those are all the mistakes that I have noticed newcomers in Canada when they come usually make. Did I miss anything? Is there anyone you're currently facing that you're like, yo, Jenny, I have a question on that? Let's have a conversation in the comments, okay? Let me know your thoughts. And I'm actually going to now get a little bit more intimate with you in the next video, where I'll share the mistakes I personally made. So subscribe if you haven't subscribed, so you can catch that video when it's up. If you like this video, like it. If you love it, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Have yourself a blessed week. Bye now.